Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Aiko, who is going to be an event character coming to the game. I will be doing some information on the event itself soon enough, but here is the character. We're going to be able to break her down, see what her skills are. Her leader skill, she has got a leader skill, but visually, she is camoed up. I love how she looks on the right-hand side. We have had a couple of Aikos before. Have we had more than one? I'm not sure. She is kind of iconic. Iconic? Oh, I shouldn't go there. But visually, I really like the look. She's got the rifle. We know from when she was a 6-star character, she had a really heavy hitting waist not rush, I believe. And she was a tough character, so she's kind of in line with what we know. On the left-hand side, she has got some of the craziest art. It's fully animated as well. Every now and again, you'll see she'll look down the scope and take a shot. I really, really like this art. There's got a lot gone into this art. Here we go. Boom. There we go. I love it. If we look at the stats, a tier 5 gold mythic at level 600, she has 14,394 attack, 14,394 defense, and 12,338 HP. So she is actually very stat heavy. I think she's one of the most stat heavy characters in the game. She's a tough character. She's considered support, but she has actually really nice attack stat, and she is an attack leader, as you can see. When it's a red, leader skill down the bottom right, you get a little leak. Effectively, that is going to be an attack leader skill. She is a mythic character, of course, and if we see her allegiance, she is part of the survivors, and she is, I believe, the 5th survivor character to come to the game. I would love to just be able to roll off the names. Let's see, Abraham, Rosita, Gabriel, and Michonne are the 4 that we have so far. So Aiko here would be the 5th. Now we'll check out that adrenaline rush, and it is called Powerful Shots. It is a 66 AP cost rush. Deal 350% damage to up to 3 enemies. Up to 3 teammates get 25% attack for 2 turns. So there's been a few characters in RTS history that's kind of just done this sort of rush where it's hit a few characters, 2 to 3 characters. 350% isn't huge. It's a little bit less than Tyrese's rush, and her attack stat is going to be around the same sort of attack stat that a Tyrese can get to. But she is the leader, so she is surrounded by 1535 weapons. Obviously, she can get very heavy amplified stat, as you remember from S-Class era, Priya just rolling around with huge amounts of stats. She could potentially be the same, and that's going to amplify that 350% quite heavily. The second part is nice, up to 3 teammates getting 25% attack for 2 turns. This means on effectively the rush turn, she would rush first, and then she'd boost other characters with a bit more of an attack boost. Okay, so here we go. We've got the rush on turn 2. I did give her some AP from Glenn, but she did also get focus because she's got heavy attack stat. A lot of the time the defense team AI will be like, damn, this is a dangerous character. We haven't got her in the leader position. I want to just show that stuff later, but we're just going to show her rush. I'm going to select the alert character. We are going to do the rush, and you're going to see quite heavy damage come out. Like I said, it's not going to be amazing until you amplify this with weapon buffs. She's not going to be able to take advantage of things like rampage or anything, but she has to have lots of 1535s around her. Right now, she has no 1535s. If she's in the middle, she could be holding a 1535 herself and potentially have 3 to 4 around her, depending on what other weapon upgrades you've got on your team. And obviously, she's going to do a lot more attack that way. Now, you can see the 25% attack boost came out, and it is kind of random. You can see it went to herself, but that would amplify her next basic attack or her next signature move, depending on whatever one she got first. So I'd mainly look at this adrenaline rush as more of a supportive rush on base, but it's up to you if you want to, boost this as high as possible. You definitely can. 50% attack weapon in her hands, 1535 plus 1535s around her. Her attack stack is going to get to brand new levels. I think if you've got Negan and Rick in the center and you've got a lot of 1535s around them, you know what I'm talking about. But Aiko here can definitely pack a reasonable punch. As we look at the upgrades at tier 3, it gets 100% damage. That's not going to be too much of a problem. But you have to get the second gold mythic Aiko to be able to get extra targets. Otherwise, it is only going to deal damage to up to 2 enemies, and then it will still do the 25% attack buff. So it will always do the support role no matter what tier you get her to. But if you want to do the extra enemy, obviously you need to have her at tier 5. Now, it is obviously worth noting you only get to select one of the 3 characters which you're going to do the damage against. The other ones are completely random. Sometimes that can go against you. Sometimes it's, you know, it's just nice to have a lot of impact damage anyway, but they could have a character you don't necessarily want to attack depending on their specialist skill, you know, depending on how much AR characters have, that sort of thing. So it is worth noting that you don't have full control over this rush like you would like a line attack, and you could dictate which characters you wanted to take damage. Now, Aiko, of course, has a signature move, and it is called Target Weakness. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 2, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. One enemy gets minus 25% defense for 2 turns, attack that enemy for 150% damage. You could obviously do this first. Again, she seems to be a character which you're meant to be doing her signature move first and then following up on top of it. Her rush first, following up on top of it. So that's what I'm seeing so far in terms of just like amplified damage after she does her stuff. Minus 25% defense may not seem like a lot, but characters that have like 40 to 50,000 defense, you're talking about 10,000 plus defense just getting removed, which is massive at that sort of level. And that's just going to get higher and higher and higher. As we get higher lieutenant levels, more limit breaks, characters are going to get up to 50, 60, 70, potentially, you know, even potentially in the future 100,000 defense. And this would be a massive debuff, and obviously the damage reduction that defense would bring would just be reduced. And you could follow up with characters that have turn 2 signature moves like Sandy on anyone who's got minus 25% defense, and they most likely would not last too long. Okay, so we're on turn 2 here, and I can say I want to target a particular character, let's say Glenn. We want to attack Glenn for some reason. I'll swipe left of Aiko, and then you can see the 25% defense down comes in. Any follow-up signature moves will just do boosted damage. It's just as simple as that. We can see we can take out Glenn here with Laurie, and then Laurie has the bonus where if she takes out a character, she's going to give minus defense to everybody. So there could be like a triple combo in here where Aiko softens up one character, then Laurie takes that character out, and then she softens up everybody, and then like you follow it with Sandy, who can go against whoever remains. So there's definitely some nice little combos you can have here. For the minus 25 defense is nice, and then again Laurie on top, minus 20 defense to all. Again, nice. So this signature move in my mind just continues the support role sort of position she's going to be sitting in. The setup, sort of like she's the point guard of the team effectively. She's setting up the damage dealers. I don't mind this too much. As we see the upgrades, at tier 2 she gets minus 1 cooldown. The initial cooldown is going to be turn 2 the entire time, but you know, when you can do it again, it goes from 3 to 2 at tier 2. At tier 4, the defense down increases from 10% to 25%. So I think they had to label it like this because it would be like an extra 15% reduction. It would be kind of hard to show that in terms of like minus 15% defense. But yeah, this makes sense. So initially it is minus 10% and it goes up to minus 25%. No military supplies are required here. No military supplies were required on her rush. So she is obviously just going to be at full power as long as you get her to those tiers, which is obviously great. Now, Aiko does have some mythic abilities. These are her mythic passives. She is a support character, so she does get cunning. And this means she's less likely to trigger weapon effects like stun on defense, that sort of thing. It's just like an added inbuilt resist, basically. Just makes her like we've talked about this before, like a partial disarm when it comes to what she can do for herself. She can't disarm for other people, but she's effectively can just not trigger weapon effects with night. It also works with walkers, so you know, Earl buffing those walkers isn't going to be as effective against Aiko herself. Now she has got other passives as well. One's called Group Survival. All teammates with the Survivor Allegiance get 20% debilitating status resistance. This is kind of interesting, I guess. I mean, she's an attack leader and she's a supportive attack character. I guess this would mean just you're less likely to be, you know, controlled on your attack team, which isn't terrible. I think that's going to get more and more effective as time goes on, but it is only to Survivor characters, and unless we get more than 5 come out, I believe of the ones I listed, we had Abe, Rosita, Gabriel, and Michonne. I'd say maybe only like 2 of those are like definitely attack team characters. And would you use them with Aiko? I mean, it's hard to know. So it's only going to be a couple of characters that are actually going to get the bonus here. But we could potentially have more Survivors characters coming out in the future. But, you know, 5 is definitely what's required for a Mythic Trials at any point. We look at the other passive that's here. It's Group Defense. When this character starts their turn, 30% chance that this character and all adjacent allies get 100% attack down resistance for one turn. Now, that could be really effective in the future. I don't think there's anybody that does, like, attack down to heavy amounts. Like, it's going to potentially counter the passive of Ezekiel, and that's minus 15% attack down. I think there might be, like, one other character. Maybe Frost. Maybe Frost has attack down. I think he does have an attack down in his rush, but his rush is quite slow. So, I mean, it is nice. Don't get me wrong, it is nice. But it isn't, like, spectacular, especially as it's only 30% chance. It's not like 100% chance, or it isn't like every other turn or something like that. It only has a chance to go off, whereas Ezekiel's is 100% chance to do attack down, and that is against damage dealers. So, again, like 15% reduction against damage dealers. If you can block that, you're going to effectively amplify their damage without amplifying their damage, so it's not terrible. She also got one last passive, and it is called Empowering Shot. When making a critical hit, heal one teammate by 15% of their max HP. I actually don't mind that, to be honest. It kind of gives her like a little bit of a medic role, and you guys know how it works with the AI. If you're attacking, one character gets focused, so if she does a critical hit the next turn, she'll heal that character by 15% of the max HP. That's not terrible. Okay, so as we can see, it's turn 2. I've taken a bit of damage on Lori, but I've taken huge amounts of damage on Aiko. They seem to really like to attack her. Now, this is actually quite a good test. Can she heal herself, or will she always heal the teammate? It did say heal one teammate, so it's most likely going to go to Lori here. We have to hit the crit. Fingers crossed we hit the crit. We do. We've got the Rampage weapon. It actually healed herself. So this is good that it does heal herself if she needs it. It will go to the person with the lowest amount of percentage HP. So she needed it more than anybody else, let's be honest. Okay, so checking out the skill upgrades, you can see at tier 1 is going to be Group Survival. That's the 20% debilitating status resistance for survivor characters. Tier 1 is the cheapest one to upgrade, and tier 5 is generally the most expensive, so that's the earliest one to do. I would say that probably is one of the worst, you know, very, very character specific, and it doesn't really amplify damage, so you may want to just kind of dodge that for, early on, the amount of military supplies it's going to require. Cunning is tier 2. It does seem like every single character, the tier 2 one is always going to be the one for their role. Tier 3 is Group Defense, and this is the one where characters that are adjacent to her do get the 100% attack down resistance potentially. Empowering Shot is the heal, and that's at tier 4. And then you get the Group Defense Part 2, which is an extra 15% to make it 30% chance at tier 5. So if you only get her to tier 4, you're going to be able to get all of her passives, just Group Defense will just be half as likely to actually take place. Now, Aiko is an attack leader, as we were talking about earlier on. She has got that red leader skill. All teammates get 30% attack. All survivors get an additional 40 crit. Obviously, everyone's going to get amplified damage, which is good. 30% attack isn't huge. I think it is one of the best attacking mythic leads we've got, though. I think that, I want to say Rick 20% plus trait damage, and then Negan's 25%, so I think she has the highest percentage, but even if she hasn't, it's going to be on level with the other characters. The survivor's getting an additional 40 crit. This is pretty much going to only be a bonus if you took Rosita and Abraham in the same team and gave them rampage weapons. You know, you could do lots of basic attack damage with a full tough team, to be honest. Those two characters would have a better crit chance. Michonne herself as well would have better crit chance, and she does rely on crit for a lot of her kit to actually work really, really well because she's a multi-hit character. It's just as simple as that. So it's nice, but it's not spectacular. But like I said, in the future we could have potentially, I don't think it's been confirmed or not whether we can have more than 5 survivors come out, but we could potentially have more survivors come out in the future. We'll have to keep an eye on that, and then maybe I'll try and contact Scopely about that in the future, like an FAQ. Can there be more than 5 of a certain allegiance come out? But like I said, right now, those are the only 3 characters that are going to be getting a bonus from it. And of course, Aiko herself. If she did have a rampage weapon in her hand, she would also get the 40 crit bonus herself. We'll see how this works when it comes to actually using her as the leader in a team. Okay, so we have started the fight. This is the first turn, and you can see that the leader skill obviously does not work as a buff. So it's going to basically be underlying how normal stat boost will work. It will just be a 30 attack boost to everybody, and a 40 crit bonus to Aiko and Michonne. That does mean if you get any in-fight buffs, so if you do get a crit buff from someone else, or based on your weapon, or however, it will stack with the leader skill, as it will always work. And it just means that someone like Michonne has a higher chance to crit, and so does Aiko, as you can see. This is pretty much just as simple as that. Other characters are just going to get the attack stat bonus part of this leader skill, and then it's only going to be survivors who get the crit half. Now, while I don't think that's terrible, I obviously, it really is about the characters that can use this, and it just comes down to more characters coming out in the future. We'll have to wait and see on that, but the 30% attack alone is good, and the fact that she's part of an event and you can obviously work towards her, and that she doesn't have to be top tier, like she doesn't have to be tier 5 to get the best out of her support role and the leader skill as well. It's not like there's a tier 5 leader skill. She's going to be able to support your characters and amplify damage fine. Now, Aiko does have an attached weapon, and it's Aiko's Violent Tabuk sniper rifle. Someone will have to obviously confirm the pronunciation for me there. It's got 25% attack, a medium bonus to AP when attacking, and then random attack, randomly give one other teammate 40% attack for the first 3 turns of each wave. Obviously, we know the weapons aren't fantastic on a lot of these mythic characters, and I would definitely opt to just give her a better weapon in her hands. For some reason, it did start out at 5-star. I don't think I 5-starred it myself. I might have and just forgot. But hopefully there isn't a 5-star weapon off the get-go. But if it is, it's actually not too terrible, if I'm honest, just because of the fact that I don't think it's a good weapon. So it would just save people armory tokens in terms of actually being able to just slot a weapon into her hands. We'll have to wait and see when the event actually starts with her in. But yeah, definitely just slot a weapon in her hands that's going to give her as much attack as possible. And honestly, I'd probably go for 1535 in that 4th slot. Seems to be the best option for Aiko here. So that is Gold Mythic Aiko, and she is part of the Sharpshooter event, and I'll be giving a breakdown of how to get this character today on my channel. Now, I think as a support character, it's great. She's an attack leader as well, so it's nice to be able to get that in the hands of some people. Visually, she looks really cool too. I really like the get up. I've just noticed she's got like a gas mask attached to her thigh as well, which is kind of interesting. And the extended mag on the pistol, quite a lot of like accessories going on here. And she's got like a partial ghillie suit. Yeah, I do like the get up quite a lot. The weapon is pretty immense. It is pretty immense for sure. But yeah, do give me your thoughts on Aiko as a gold mythic character. What do you think of her visuals? What do you think of her kit? Would she work on your team? How would you utilize her? Would you go for her as a leader? I guess most people would. But like I say, do leave your thoughts in your comments down below. That is the end of my video, guys. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.